exercise. So let's move on to parametric blocks and dynamic blocks. So we have another exercise here, which is parametric blocks. But before that, let's just also go to a new drawing first. The list of drawings that you have downloaded wouldn't have this new drawing, but just create one new drawing through the start page. You can go to your default template, which is default the millimeters template, and you can just click new drawing and you will have your new drawing. So I've created already one here, so on your side you can do that. Okay, so in this new drawing, what I would actually want to do is get the finished result of the 2D constraints exercise that we did. And that is already also included in the group set of files that you were able to download for this session. So I can go to insert, and there is insert block here on the left side, or you can also just type in insert. Okay, so when inserting a block, what do I want? I want to find that 2D constraints finished file. So let me browse that, insert. This is the list of files that we had, and you would find this one, 2D constraints underscore finished, in the set of files. So just include that in and open that. Let us click OK and insert that. Just anywhere in our drawing. So once you have finished these exercise, if you have done it correctly, or if not, just use the prepared drawing while you're figuring out where you might need a bit more practice. In the new drawing, this one is already with the constraints that you created. It's a final file. It also has the parameters. So when we click on here, we go to properties, and we can easily see that these are the parameters that we changed just now: length X, length Y, and the width. So let's say you want this to be 200. You can just change that, and it will change the specific entity or model for you. So if you remember, we added all the constraints for each of these parts, and this is the end result. Of course, this is just a simple example, and this can go on with an even more complicated part, maybe, of model that you might be wanting to try. Okay, so let's go now to the parametric blocks. So parametric blocks file will give you this file again. So similar to the move guided and copy guided file, but this one will be for parametric blocks. So we go and just zoom in to one of the doors here on the upper part of this file. And we now see that there is this door that we might want to become a block. But then it is also connected to these walls, this specific set of lines, which we consider as walls, and they can serve as our reference curves actually. So this is like a reference back again to the copy guided and move guided portion of the training. I think you'll be reminded of that when we do this exercise. Okay, so what we want to do is to create a block definition for this door so that we can easily copy it in other projects without having to do, again, the trimming of all the lines when we insert the blocks. So let us just copy this, including the lines here on the side of this door. Control C just to copy it. And let's go to another new drawing. So default template, new drawing. I'm here now on the new drawing and just paste this set of entities. So I have this door and place it. We can place this just near here. Okay, so it's near the 000 line point. Okay, so under our parametric tab under the ribbon, you will see we have reference curves. So here, reference curves. So click on that. And what do we want to do? We want to select the reference curves, meaning it would be these lines that represent the walls. And press enter. And you'll see that these have already been added as a reference curves in a reference curve layer. So if you go to the layer panel here on your right side, you would see that you already now have a reference curve here. And these entities have already been added to that layer. So you can save this now, and it will be now be able to be inserted as a block. So it's also possible to add this to your library. Let us go to our library. Okay, I think there is someone who is in the chat. Okay, I think someone can answer here. So one of my colleagues will be answering any of the chat messages that you may be sending, so we can continue with this training. So in the library panel, you can click the plus icon here. So when you click that, you can have the option of using the entire drawing. So let's use that. And we can name this. So we can give it a name called Door with Guide Curves. I have created this previously, so I'll just add one here. But you can just use the one in the training exercise module. And I want this to be in my 2D blocks folder. If you don't have this, you can quickly just type in here 2D blocks and it will create a new folder for you. But I already have that, so I'll just click here. So let's create that. Once that's created, you will be able to find that now in your library. So let's go back to Parametric Blocks, which is this drawing, this exercise. And if we go to our components library, we can now see it's in 2D blocks. I have two here, and this is the one that we created just now. Go through this. This is the one with the one. This is the earlier one that I tried on my own. So I can click here, going into my drawing. I can find the similar guide curves. I can even put in distance from the wall that I want, maybe 300 instead of 417. Tab and click. So this one is basically a block when I insert it in my model. It also correctly reads the situation that these are my guide curves, my reference curves, and it deletes the lines that are not supposed to be there. So that's pretty cool as well. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, that would probably remind you of the copy guided and move guided that we were doing earlier. So now we can move on to the next part of this, which is the visibility states. It's still connected to blocks, so we'll use the same file. I'm going to go a bit closer here and just get these three entities here, three sets of entities. We have these sanitary fixtures. So we can have a sink, a urinal, and a toilet. So let's just copy that to a blank space. Maybe we can do that here, near to our base. So once we've copied that, we can now set these as a block, so we can have some choices later on which sanitary fixture we want to place in a toilet, probably. So these are not yet block references, and they're all just curves and lines. Here, polyline, this is just a line also. And these set of entities are also all not blocks yet. So it's a circle, a line, and everything there. So once you've copied the items, we can create a block. We can go to just create a block here. It's just above Blockify, or if not, you can just also type in block. So create a block, and I want to name this sanitary because I want to include all these in my sanitary block. I will just select my entities, all of them, and maybe a breakpoint should be here. Okay, so okay. Now that I've created this block, it's now a block. It's a sanitary block basically. I can edit this block by using a block edit, edit, and going to my sanitary block that I've created, click OK, and now I'm in that block. And I can now use visibility states to be able to create the options that I want later on. So I just type in visibility states, should come up for you, and you'll have something popping up on your screen called manage visibility. So now what we want to do is create a new parameter, which is the type of sanitary fixture that we would maybe want to use. Okay, and for the type, we can add a parameter, add a state to this parameter. So let's add a state. So one state would be the sink. So let's sink, click OK. And this sink, if I right click here, I can select which entities are going to be visible when I click the sink option later on. So that's of course the sink. Okay, so once that's done, I can just repeat that. So add another state, and let's call that toilet. Okay, and then I select which entities are going to be visible, and that's here. And enter, and now I add in another state called urinal. Here. So I add the visible entities, which would be these. Okay. So now if I select sink option, that will be the one that's going to appear. Toilet will be the other one, and urinal will of course be the urinal. So now I see that these are not yet the same orientation with each other. So I just want to reorient these three so that they're all in the same position when I select the entities and the option that I want. So I want to just rotate this using, again, the manipulator. Maybe rotate it this way. Oops, sorry, select everything. Select everything first and rotate that 90 degree, and make sure that I move this to 0, 0, 0, and that will be my So for the toilet, it's the same way. I want it to be orientated this way. Let's put 90, like that. And this one will be hash 0, 0, 0. So it's going to be there. And for the sink, the same way. Use the manipulator and go for 90 degrees. And make sure my pick point is here. Okay. So when I select sink, that will be here. Toilet will be that, and this one will be the urinal. So they're now in the same position where I want them to be. Okay, now I can just save this block. So that will be already here. So now it's already a block reference parametric. If I go and select this and go to my properties panel, this one now is shown to me. I now have a parameters here, and the type will be urinal. And if I want a sink, I can choose that. If I want a toilet, I can choose the other option. And the urinal will be, of course, one of the other options I have. So that's how you can use the visibility states for your block. So beyond this, you can also use this concept for a bit more complicated blocks. So we can also experiment. You can also experiment on this, how you are able to manage your drawings using visibility states. So now we have this. We also have something called Parametric Blockify. So we can go to Parametric Blockify exercise. It will be similar. So we have here the same layout that we have been using, and let's just continue from there. Parametric Blockify supports visibility states in its block definitions. There is just one thing that you would note in your notes here in the exercise module. Some geometric variations of a block in 2D are not yet supported, but they're actually already being planned to be released in the future. So just take note of that. Okay, so it contains the block definition that we had. I think it's this one, block reference parametric. We have toilet here, sink, toilet, urinal. So you see it's changing for us. So this has already been set up for us. Now, if you notice, these ones are still just lines and arcs and polylines on their own. We haven't dealt with them yet. So now this is the time where we can fix that part. So we can use Parametric Blockify, and then select the block definition that we want. So that's this one. Enter. Now we want to select the entire drawing as a search space, or we can also just choose a certain space. So because this is a toilet, we know that this is the only portion that it will be applicable to, so we make it a bit faster for BricsCAD to search only in this small space. So let's enter. Okay, so in less than a second, it actually has read through the drawing. Again, earlier this was just also polylines and arcs. But when we now click there, we can change it to the other options that we may have. And these are the ones that we have created. So you can explore even more on this using visibility states. So from visibility states, we went on to Parametric Blockify that read through the states that we created also within our block. Pretty cool. Okay, so one of the things that we normally get asked about are dynamic blocks, and that's the next portion of this. So we want to just be clear that in BricsCAD, we don't create dynamic blocks. Dynamic blocks are normally from the traditional CAD software. And in BricsCAD, you can bring in the dynamic blocks. They will still work. So like here, if I highlight this, it tells me that it's a block reference and it's dynamic, so you can see that. But in BricsCAD, we create parametric blocks instead of dynamic blocks. So this one will still work. So we can just have this window. We can see that these are the states that were created in a different software, it will still work. You can still do, and I mean, you can still use the blocks that were created previously. So not to worry about the time that they have put in to their dynamic blocks. But of course, in BricsCAD, we want to promote the parametrics because this is going to bring us from 2D to 3D, and it just goes on with the entire process that we are promoting. So you can also explore more about these dynamic blocks in the exercise that you have the module on. Okay, so we can also see that there are other properties that can be seen here with each of the dynamic blocks. So the information was